Hey, what is up, everybody? So I am back to do my mid-season Horror Nights 26 review. Now, if you didn't see the first review, you can click on the card up here and check it out. In that review, I kind of did over the opening weekend of the event, and I kind of went into details about every house and every scare zone, all the shows, pretty much my overall thoughts about the whole event. Now, I have two more reviews, basically this one and then my final review, which will come after the event is over, and that's going to be my mega big ultra review that's going to go over everything, my dislikes, my likes, you know, everything, how I feel about the event, how I feel it was good, how I feel it was bad, what they should have did. You know, I'm going to dive into all the details for that one. For the mid-season review, I'm going to do it just a little bit different. I'm not going to go through every single house or every single zone. What I'm going to do with this review is I'm going to basically do a highlight. So what I've seen that has improved at the event, what have I seen that has kind of taken a dive basically at the event. So without further ado, let's get to it.
You won't stand a chance.
So with the houses, I've seen a lot of progression in the houses. Some houses have stepped it up. Some houses have consistently stayed, you know, good. Some houses, so for the houses that I think have, you know, improved or have stayed consistently good. And I have to say, for the Tombs of the Ancients, that house, for me, it has drastically improved. I know a lot of people are kind of down on it and they don't like the changes that the houses kind of went through in the couple weeks that it's been open, or I guess it's more than a couple weeks now. A lot of people didn't like the way they changed the kind of dual way that you can go in the house. They didn't like that they took out the moving floors. I overall think the house is better. I remember going in opening weekend and not liking a lot of it because it was so dark, you couldn't see much, and I think drastically they've improved in the lighting system. I think I can actually see some of the creatures in the house. A lot of stuff is actually brighter now. I think all that stuff is great. I didn't really care for the moving floors to begin with, so that's a plus for me. You know, I think it's the most improved I've seen of all the houses at this event. At least for me, it's the most improved. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think that house has just gone just bonkers on my list. I don't understand all the hate. I know you people are out there that hate this house. I don't get it. I mean, every time I pretty much have a run in this house, it's really, really good, or it's just mind-blowingly like, wow, that was probably run of the year for me. And if you checked out my vlog series that I sort of started doing at the event, we got to go into the house like 3 times back to back to back, no waits. And then we closed out the house. And closing out the house, at least for us, it was probably, I think, the best house experience I've had this year. It was terrifying. I got to see every single scare in this house. Keep it up, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You guys are killing it in this house. Never mind all the hate from all the haters out there. All the people who are just complaining about, oh, you know, you go in and you miss some scenes. That's gonna happen in every, excuse me. That's gonna happen in every house. You know, you're not gonna escape that. That's gonna happen. For me, Ghost Town has kind of taken a dive. And it's not so much that the scares have not been there. The scares are still there. The scares are good. They're decent. The house is still good, but there's something about the house for me that's sort of just taken a little lowering on the list. I think it's a fine house, but I don't think it's as mind-blowing as it was opening weekend. I think that's just because everybody, and you know who you are out there, have just kind of plagued this house to death with the whole, that's my goal, where's my goal? I'm getting so tired of hearing that. I mean, I understand it was funny when it was meat, and maybe that got annoying to people, but I will say this has far more annoyed me more so than hearing meat. I think meat is it's just a quick word. It's funny, but I'm tired of hearing everybody say, "That's my gold. Where's my gold?" And especially because I remember this being on I think a Velveeta cheese mac and cheese commercial that they were talking about the gold thing.
Get your own liquid gold. Go on, get! There's gold in them there shells. Liquid gold.
And so I've already heard this whole running joke, way back then. So it's kind of annoying to keep hearing it, and especially because everybody keeps saying it. And Krampus and Exorcist have both kind of taken a dive. I think more so the Exorcist, because to me the house was never spectacular to start with. But I will say what I've seen is that in the first room, I think it is repeated way too much, way too quick. I mean, you hear it at least about 3 or 4 times before you're even out that room. So you're kind of just like, all right, I've heard this once, I've heard it twice, heard it a third time, yada, 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 yada. So I think that kind of sucks. I think the dark hallway was already kind of just stupid already, but they've turned on some kind of bright lights in it. Doesn't look very good, especially now more so. The rest of the house is just okay. It hasn't progressed at all. And for me, Krampus was a house that I really loved at the start. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed everything in the house. And I know they tried to change so much about this house. Like they tried to add in little scares here and there. They put some like miniature snowmans. They added 2 snowmans. They've added Krampus now. He sort of moves his arm out, which is just kind of stupid if you ask me. Why couldn't we have a Krampus in there on stilts, or just a Krampus that is a scare actor that moves? By now, that's beyond me. That's all onto the powers that be behind Horror Nights. I think that's kind of stupid, but like I said, overall, this house is just, I don't know. Every time I've gone through, especially in the past couple times, it's just been kind of just okay. Not fantastic, not fun. I can tell you one of the times we went through and the Jack in the Box wasn't even there. I was excited to see him and he wasn't even in the scene yet, or he just wasn't in there. And sometimes the effects work, sometimes they don't. Now, as far as the shows, I have not gone back to see Bill and Ted. I really don't think I will anymore. Sorry. Not sorry. Academy of Villains is still fantastic as it was opening weekend. Still the same show that I've seen. I mean, I still stop and I still want to watch the whole show no matter what point I catch the show on. Fantastic show. I don't get those who hate it. I love it. Now on to the scare zones. I think some of the scare zones have improved. Some of them have...
You won't stand a chance.
Same. Banshees, Lair of the Banshees, Banshee Scare Zone, whatever you want to call it. I still think this zone is fantastic. I think some of the makeup work has improved in the zone, especially on the tiger people and the druids or whatever you want to call them. I think they look great. I think the zone is doing pretty well. On to the roaming hordes. I think obviously my favorite are the pumpkin and the geishas. They've stayed consistently great. Can't say nothing bad about them. The hillbillies have gotten a little bit better. The cheerleaders to me are still not there. Sorry, I just don't get it. Some people are like,
oh, you see they got bejeweled chainsaws.
I don't give about bejeweled chainsaws. That doesn't do anything for me. Sorry. Doesn't do anything to improve the zone or just them as far as their tactics or attacks. I think there is one cheerleader, and I don't want to pick favorites, but I think she is a standout amongst the rest. She stops for photos, and no matter how you feel about that kind of situation, but she does stop for photos for anybody that wants to take a photo with her. She stops and plays with the children. I think she does a fantastic job. The rest of them, I don't know. I've seen them kind of standing off on the side, talking with people a lot. I've seen them just kind of walking around with a mean face. So Sometimes they rev the chainsaws, sometimes not. Sorry. Vamp 55 is the zone for me that is sort of here and there. It was fantastic at the start. I still think it's a good zone. I still think there's like maybe 7 to 10 characters in the zone who are like fantastic. They stand out. They're kind of just characters on their own, and the rest of them, they get flooded in the background. Like there's people in there that I'll be standing there looking around and saying to myself like, is this person new? I never saw this person in the zone. They might have been in the zone since day one, but I've never noticed. I mean, I think in that zone you kind of have to have the rest of the cast stand out. And some of them do, some of them don't. I've seen a lot of the characters kind of just goof around and have these long conversations with people. Maybe they're staying in character, maybe they're not. I have seen people who will come over and they talk, maybe they talk to me, they talk to Kyle, but they're still staying in character or they're still scaring while they're doing it. And you know who I'm talking about, the MVP of the zone. He will still sit there and like have conversations but still be scaring like every few seconds. He does a great job. That's how I kind of want this zone to kind of follow his energy. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. They've also added a motorcycle to this zone as well as Survive or Die. In this zone, I think it works pretty well. I think the new tactic of parking the bike and having the rider kind of, talk to guests and pose for photos and stuff, I think that works pretty well. Over in Survive or Die, I don't think it works that well. It's just the same as the go-kart vehicle that goes around in circles. That's pretty much all it does. That's it. Survive or Die, I think, has improved for me overall. I'm starting to have fun with the characters, and I'm starting to kind of have fun within each of the different groups in the zone, but I still think overall the idea is just muddled. It's not there. If you didn't read the press release, you wouldn't know anything about this zone. Alright, so the last zone I want to talk about is the chance zone. This zone is still hit and miss. Some of the characters in the zone I think are fantastic, and they're doing a really good job at sort of kind of making their characters be their own characters. They're not just these regular boring characters. If you've seen my vlog, you've seen a lot of the characters kind of have their own thing, and I think that's really, really cool that they stand out.
The cake for the
I think the whole chance thing is still stupid, still a bad idea. Especially now, all you see is that Chance does a lot of opening up her legs and she's spinning in the chair, and she just seems kind of like she's bored most of the time. Since they only have 2 chances basically that are the talking chances, they have a third one which is the backup, and this is twice now that I've seen the backup be on stage. And it's weird because the backup does not talk. All she does is basically pose for pictures, sit in the chair. She does everything Chance does, but without talking. It is really, really weird if you're in the zone and you get the backup Chance and she's not talking. It just kind of leaves this zone to be really empty in a way. I don't know if they had a really cool solution for this whole problem of having a backup that doesn't talk, but doesn't help the zone very much. But I still do think the characters in the zone have improved. I think it's really, really fun. And I think a lot of the problems with the zone is kind of outside of their, problem, and they can't really help that much. But I think the zone has kind of improved a little bit. But anyway, guys, that is it for my mid-season review on Halloween Horror Nights 26. Let me know down in the comment section, what are your thoughts about the event? Have you went back? Have you seen anything that you liked or anything that you didn't like? What do you think about this event so far? We're kind of near the end, but it's still got a little bit time to improve if there's anything to improve. I mean, hell, we've seen the bikes show up like really late in the season, so there's no reason why we couldn't see anything else pop up, possibly. But yeah, anyway guys, that is it. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment, leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed this kind of mid-season review. Thank you guys for watching. I'm sort of back for videos, hopefully. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. As always, thank you, and until next time, peace.
My turn to play. You won't stand a chance.